response to Dr. Wafa Sultan, the woman in which everyone on YouTube, in particular the anti-Islamists, the haters, the bigots, the racists, have been going nuts over her statements, which are quite false and are going to be easily refuted by the evidence that I will present afterwards. Let me first start off by saying that I am a Sunni Muslim. I am not a member of Louis Farrakhan's group. I am not a follower or a member of the Nation of Islam. I'm not a part of any black Muslim movement, so please don't make the foolish assumption because of the color of my skin that I'm part of some black Muslim group. I am part of the worldwide Muslim community that believes in the Quran and the way that it was given to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So let us continue. Now, in dealing with the statements of Dr. Sultan, let us be mindful that she is only a psychologist. The clip that we see said that she is a psychologist. And as I watched it and listened to it, I began to see that's all that she is. She doesn't know history, and she doesn't know any theology, whether it be Islamic, Christian, Judaism, or any other form, because the things that she said were just totally false, and I will clearly destroy her arguments. Okay? So let's start. Now, she started off by saying that what she sees the situation today is as a clash between civilization and backwardness. And I thought about that. I said, wow, civilization and backward. Meanwhile, the West, their nations, they excel in the consumption of pornography, alcoholism, illegitimate children, sexual promiscuity, strip clubs, gambling, all these different problems. And she has the nerve to talk about a clash between civilization and backwardness. These activities are the activities of a backward people, acting like animals, showing themselves on films and, you know, all these crazy things that we know that are right here in Western society. Then she says it's a clash between barbarity and rationality. And again, she makes these claims as if it's one-sided, as if everything is cut and dry, black and white, as if the West is totally a rational society and the Eastern people, or the people who are not from the West, are just totally barbaric and animalistic. This is crazy. Has she not forgotten that it is the Western nations that contain the most weapons of mass destruction? The United States alone has about, what, 15,000 or maybe more nuclear weapons? That's enough nuclear weapons to destroy the entire Earth 40 times over, they tell us. 40 times over, and that's rationality? They are the only people who have ever used such weapons on a civilian population, regardless of, you know, what the situation was with Japan. They still dropped 2 atomic bombs on the civilian population of Japan. Okay, so don't tell me about rationality. These are the same people that created the most horrendous systems of oppression and racism. The apartheid system in South Africa was created by the Dutch and the British Western people, Christians at that. America with its Jim Crow segregation, again created by Westerners who were Christians. Okay, they killed you know, people who were looking for civil rights: Martin Luther King, Medgar Evers, Fred Hampton. So many others that just go on. Mandela was put in jail when he was asking for freedom from these racist, Anglo-Westernized Christians. And she wants to talk about rationality versus barbarity? Please, since when did these people show us any signs of rationality in their history, of slaughtering Native Americans, of sterilizing Puerto Rican women, all these atrocities, and you want to talk about rationality? Please, okay? The #1 arms dealers are who? The United States, the UK, Russia, and then later you have some other countries. But these are your #1 arms dealers. The people who give the ability to others to go ahead and start wars and fight wars and all these different things. They are the #1 arms dealers and armed weapons producers. Okay? Then she talked about a clash between democracy and dictatorship. Another interesting point of view that she comes here, because it seems that she forgets that it is these Western nations that have, in their history, subjugated the rights of various peoples upon the face of this earth. You see? Many of these nations right now, these Western nations, in particular the United States, the UK, are allies with dictators from what they call the Middle East. Friends with the kings, friends with the dictator, the military dictators, you know, Musharraf, and friends with other dictators from other countries that are their allies. And yet, this is hypocrisy, because you claim to be the champions of freedom, but yet you align yourselves with these dictators and these kings, but then at the same time talk about you're about spreading freedom and democracy. How hypocritical. What nonsense you guys like to speak. And then she says it's a clash between freedom and oppression. And again, I have to question that. You see, because she's again trying to make it seem as though the West is perfect in these ideals, when in reality it's not. The West has given us the racism of apartheid once again, the Jim Crow, the COINTEL program, which was the FBI program, which was designed against the civil rights movement of black Americans. So what is she talking about? Against freedom of oppression. These people are the oppressors. These people have helped, many societies of people be oppressed in India, in South Africa, here in America. These people are the ones who made Gandhi famous. Your oppression against the Indian people made Gandhi a famous man. Your oppression against the people in South Africa made Nelson Mandela a famous man. Your oppression here in America made Martin Luther King famous, Malcolm X famous, Medgar Evers famous, and various other civil rights fighters. You made them famous. Why? Because of your oppression. So, Ms. Sultan, please take a history lesson. Stick to psychology, because you don't know what you're talking about when it comes to history. Okay? And then she says about human rights and the violation of human rights. You see, interesting again. She forgets that in France, a Western nation, it denies Muslim girls the right to an education if they decide to wear the Muslim headscarf. But yet, nobody cries about human rights violations. You see, what about the hundreds of Arabs that were arrested here in America after 9/11? Arrested with no charge, and the Justice Department admitted that majority of these people had no connection to terrorist acts or Al-Qaeda at all. Yet they were detained and kept for sometimes for months on end. Couldn't see lawyers, couldn't talk to family, couldn't do anything. Were not allowed any legal rights. And you want to talk about human rights and human rights violations? What about the torture in Guantanamo? You see, you guys want to talk about like you're so idealistic and so perfect and so wonderful, yet you turn around and talk about, oh, let's torture these people, let's do this to them, and let's kill their kids and all that. Please, okay, people, you people, like I said, you're not angels. You're not angels at all, okay? And then there's the racial profiling. Yes, Congressman Peter King has called to pass a bill to allow legal discrimination. I thought discrimination was a bad thing. I thought racism was terrible. Yet Mr. Peter King wants to try to pass a bill to allow legal discrimination, racial profiling. They've already been racial profiling black Americans and Hispanic Americans. Now they want to add Arab Americans or people from Middle East to that. So you could be profiled too, because again, they don't consider you white. You see, so Ms. Sultan, your nonsense is just that, what it is. It's nonsense. You see? And then she goes on and talks about a clash between people who treat women like beasts versus people who treat women like human beings. Again, is she talking about the West? Are you trying to tell me that the West treats women like human beings? Excuse me, I have articles right here that show that Muslim women have been attacked and beat up by Western men. Okay? There's the shooting of Aliyah Al-Ansari in California. She's a Muslim woman. She was covered and they shot her because of their hatred for Muslim people. And she was a woman at that. Okay? Every 45 seconds, a woman in the United States, regardless, is attacked. Every 45 seconds, a woman is attacked or assaulted in the United States. And you want to talk about treat women like human beings? The U.S., we have a bunch of strip clubs, pornography. They parade the women around in their music videos. They have their contest, their Miss America, which shows the women clad in bikinis and swimsuits, showing off nothing more than their bodies and their sexuality. You see? You have your Sports Illustrated swimsuit issues, treating the women like nothing more than a plaything, nothing more than a toy, parading her around like she is an animal for the entertainment of men. And Ms. Sultan talks about treating women like human beings. Again, where are you living at? You see? I have articles also here that show also in Israel, the only democracy in the Middle East, the Western values that are in the Middle East, where women, Jewish women, are beat up because they don't move to the back of the bus. Reminds me of that story of Rosa Parks. You see? Jewish women being attacked because they're not dressed modestly and things of that nature. Oh, but no, these things are kept low. These things are not put out in the media. But if a Muslim did it, oh my goodness, everybody would be in uproar. Every news channel would show it. But because Jews are beating up women who don't move to the back of the bus, or who are not dressing modestly, and fanatic Jews do, oh well, we got to keep that on the low. Again, you people are a bunch of hypocrites. Okay. Then we move on. Then she says that she claims that this idea of the clash of civilizations, the idea and the actual clash itself was started by Muslims. This right here is where we see that she doesn't know anything about history. Again, Ms. Sultan, please stick to psychology because you don't know history. According to history, In the book The Iceman Inheritance by Michael Bradley, in the introduction, it